We did it.
I know, we did it. And I've been really, really pumped and excited to get to meet you. And I've been checking out some of your amazing work. And so I'm going to just give everybody a quick introduction right now, and then we're going to dive in, and I'm pumped for it. So for those who are just new to joining us right now, this is just a quick series that we've put together for amazing individuals who are doing extraordinary things in the world, who are always looking to contribute and support their audience and the people that they work with. And what better time than now, when we're in this state of isolation, lockdown, and all the craziness and the chaos we can get caught up in, to bring together incredible souls just like the one that you're going to meet today, the beautiful Kate Chiffey-Gray, and to get to dive into their wisdom and their expertise and their lens of viewing the world, so that we can stay empowered, keep growing, keep doing amazing things in this world. So today we've got the beautiful Kate Chiffey-Gray, and I would love for you, Kate, to start off with just sharing, before we dive into a bit of your work and what you do, just what you're most grateful for in your life right now.
Oh, I love that question. I want to say thank you for doing this, by the way. It's so needed right now. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to reach people today through this very interview. And every day I wake up and I'm breathing, I'm grateful, because life, regardless of external circumstances, is a gift. So I'm grateful for my breath and for this day.
I love that. And it's a good reminder for all of us, I think, to just reconnect with just the little things that actually matter, that are driving everything else that we feel we could be grateful for or not. So
yes,
awesome. Absolutely. So Kate, being the business mentor that you are, the entrepreneur, philanthropist, investor, you've got to work with some incredible people. You've got amazing clients across the globe. I'd love for you to share, because when I checked out your website, I noticed some other different underlying things, maybe a bit of your background before you got into what you do now, which I just was like, wow, there's a reason why I wanted to connect with you. And so I'd love for you to just share a little bit about, just a bit about what the work that you do is, what got you there, what inspires you about the path that you're on.
Yeah, such a good question. So essentially I am a business mentor. What led me to this point was deep spiritual work. So from working with plant medicines to a life devoted to Zen Buddhism, I got to the point where I realized that I was compartmentalizing spirituality and business. And I'd always loved business. I had my first business when I was 23 years old, other than selling things to my neighbors when I was a kid that I'd taken from my mum's bedroom, which is a whole different story. But my first official registration for an ABN was in my early 20s. And I'd loved business, but I always felt so conflicted, because I was always on this devout spiritual path as well. And I was in this internal conflict, saying, well, I can't do both, right? I'm either going to be a nun, a Buddhist nun, which was actually my goal, or I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And I got to this point in my Zen studies after years where I got told this story by my Zen master. And essentially what it was saying was that if you want to be enlightened, and I have a different opinion on that now, but if you want to be enlightened, then just be a normal person. And it was in that moment where I went, wow, I've been resisting being a normal person, and I love business. And so I threw myself right in, and I created Ancient Awakening, which was a plant medicine retreat business where we ran medicine retreats all over the world alongside different indigenous shamans. And that business just took off massively. So we hit 7 figures in 18 months. We had zero capital. It was just, I fully gave myself permission to do the thing that I came here to do. And I was supported beyond my wildest dreams.
Oh my gosh. So many rabbit holes I'd love to dive down into with you. Oh my gosh, I've got so many fascinations with different angles that you just took then. But that's cool. That was funny, actually, when you just mentioned about, being kind of an entrepreneur as you were a child and kind of stealing things from your mum's place. And it's actually funny to me because my mum's actually watching, and 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 it's funny because I got in big trouble when I was a kid for going around the house and finding all little knickknacks and then putting price tags on it and taking it around the street, and then I had to go give all the money back.
That's brilliant. I love it. I love it.
That's so good. Oh my gosh. So take me down this other path. I love what you've just brought, because the last interview that we just did was with the founder of a meditation yoga retreat that I went and did a 10-day silent meditation retreat with. And he's an incredible soul. And I recommend everybody check out that interview. But I feel like you're such a good transition point from that very spiritual, heart-centered Zen Buddhism, all that sort of stuff, to what you said, you know, if you want to be enlightened, just be that normal person, give yourself permission to do what you love. So what would you say to everybody out there who's, you know, kind of like, oh, you know, because I know we've got people watching right now who are in the spiritual realm and do want to create kind of that business side, but there's this disconnect. What would you say to those people? How could they become the normal person?
Yeah, I love that question so much. And I'll start with saying that essentially my business has been my greatest spiritual practice, because the ability to stay present and ride the wave of chaos that is entrepreneurship is literally the most testing thing I have ever been through. I would rather sit for 10 days in silence for 12 hours a day, which I have done many, many, many times, sometimes, than dealing with just every day as being an entrepreneur. Every day there are fires. Like, you know, one of my early mentors said to me that there are always problems in business. They just take different shapes and sizes. And so, you know, problems I like to reframe as opportunities to find solutions. However, it's the most deepest, devout commitment to being present and being here and being now in this moment. Like as Ramdas said, be here now. It's the most committed practice to being here now that I've ever experienced. And I've gone from plant medicine to Zen Buddhism to Mahayana Buddhism, yoga, Hinduism. I've sat at the feet of gurus. I've done all sorts of somatic therapy, anything that could be perceived as spiritual. I tried all of it. I was so hungry for this idea of enlightenment that I spent so long chasing it. And the hilariousness of it all is that it's actually here in the everyday now of just being an entrepreneur. It's quite funny when I look back at what I did, but here we are. So that's my advice. It's no different. It's the same. You are a spiritual being. So how can anything that you do be a disconnection from that? When we compartmentalize spirituality and business, we're only creating more duality within ourselves, which creates more conflict within ourselves. So if we take the approach of making everything being about being here now, which is the ultimate form of spirituality, because the only truth of existence exists in the present moment. Everything else is projections of the mind, and the mind is limited. It's not who we are. So if we just bring ourselves back into the here and now and everything we do in business, well, then it's the ultimate form of spiritual practice.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I love how you articulated that. And you know, it reminds me of a subject that we kind of hear flown around a little bit, which is this concept around spiritual bypass. So is that kind of what you would say is a lot of us could be, you know, when we compartmentalize like these different elements of our lives, like, oh, like at that time, I thought I needed to escape, you know, to get into this silent meditation so that I could actually get connected to my inspired purpose in my business. It was separate for me. So what would you say to those people out there who, is that a form of spiritual bypass? Is that how you would talk about it? Like this seeking and this separation is bypassing the actual spiritual work of being here now and being, you know, in the present moment. Yes.
And I think so. So there's a text called Verses of a Faith Mind. By Sing Sing Ming, and it's the 6th patriarch of Zen was who curated it from spirit. And one of the lines in it is, the acceptance of all things is equal to enlightenment. So when we try and avoid anything in favor of another, we fall into aversion and attraction. And whenever we're in aversion or attraction, we are just getting lost in this idea that we are separate to other things. when actually we are other things. Like if we look on the absolute in Buddhist teaching, and I know the New Age teaches it as well, this idea of oneness, well, we are all things. So when we are denying one thing in our human existence to think we have to do this in order to be spiritual, we're not just denying the external, we're denying a part of ourselves. So spiritual bypassing is when we're in denial of the what is, of the what is present. It doesn't mean we can't shift into some form of action, and Eckhart Tolle talks about this all the time, but it means that before we can take action, we must come into acceptance. And the Zen text, the Sing Sing Ming, is absolutely like the best text I've ever read in terms of that. The acceptance to all things is equal to enlightenment. And another line was, the idea of right and wrong is the original disease of the mind.
Wow. Oh my gosh. I feel like I've got to go sit with those for a second just to like take them in. But that is so powerful, I think, for everybody, particularly in this state of pandemic, you know, to not go right and wrong and this shouldn't be happening and that's wrong and there should be different regulations here or whatever. It's like, hang on a minute, to come into full acceptance of what is gives you this position to act and make a decision that's actually going to be from a higher place, from the wholeness of who you are, rather than the denial of those parts. And I guess that gives me a good segue into asking you the question, what's your unique perspective, you know, through the lens of your experience and the work that you do and all the wisdom that you have? What is your perspective on how you're viewing this pandemic of COVID-19?
It's such a good question. I feel like I've viewed it. It's changed since it first happened to now, and I've done more research, and I've really come from a space of wanting to understand the story behind the story. You know, so there's what we're told is happening, and then there's what we're told is happening behind the scenes, and then there's actually probably what's happening. So even that which we can like get lost in the idea of what some people would call conspiracies, like there's something beyond that as well, right? And me putting energy into theorizing the why, I feel I'm only putting energy into creating that which is not helpful, because ultimately it doesn't matter why. But what I do want to hold on to in a non-attached way, I'm hearing my Zen master in my head, what I want to hold on to, he's like, douche, you don't hold on to anything. In a non-attached way, is the idea that we are receivers and transmitters as human beings. So we are ultimately organic reality creators. So I acknowledge what's happening. I acknowledge that there is something beyond what we're told. Do I know exactly what it is? No. And I'm not even trying to figure it out why. All I'm going to do is put all of my energy on creating the opportunity we have right now. And that opportunity is to bring in a new earth. Because what is happening as the veil thins is we're seeing what was not working. We're seeing that there are many atrocities in this world and many organizations that appeared very trustworthy that potentially may not have been. And so now if we get lost in that, yes, acknowledge it, accept it, and then let's shift to what we're good at. And that's putting our thoughts, feelings, our frequency and our attention into bringing in a way that is in balance and in harmony, and bringing in a way that is what we would call the new earth or the new paradigm. So I'm using this as an opportunity to put my energy into shifting something that is harmonious and more in balance for humanity and the planet.
I love that. Wow. And I'm so grateful that I asked you that question, because it's such a beautiful and empowered and very thought out and very in alignment. You know, it's creating balance with the chaos. It's bringing order to the chaos in a really really empowered way. So I want to ask you, you know, I lost my train of thought for a second then. I had a really good question, and then I was like, I wrote something down. I can't even read my writing now. Okay, so let's move on from there then. And so with this concept of how you're that's it, I got it back. How you're looking at the world right now, and this way of bringing balance and harmony and making the most of this opportunity. What are the things that you're personally doing? Like, what does that look like for all of us, so that we can see an example and then go, okay, how could I be operating in that kind of realm in my own life?
Yeah. So it's such a good question. It's really simple. Like my whole day is set up in a way that I would live if I use this term because it's tangible and it's results based. Right now, our society uses the currency of money. Okay, so money is what we use to exchange, and based on results, you can see how in alignment you are based on the results you're getting financially. If you're a business, I'm talking from an entrepreneur. So I've set my day up. How would I live if I was a billionaire? What things would I be doing? And so I start my day with getting up and I move my body. I exercise. So I get rid of any stagnant energy that could have come from the day before. And by moving my body, I connect to my body, and my body is the gateway to the present moment, as is my breath. So it's the first thing I do. Then I meditate. But I don't just meditate like I have for many years, like a Zazen meditation, a silent meditation. I'm intentional. This is where I start to embrace that I'm a transmitter and a receiver. And so I spent time getting very clear on what the vision was for me in this world, how I'm going to play a role in bringing in the new earth. And then when I sit in meditation, I listen to Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditation, The Future You, and I live that every morning. So every morning, 7 days a week, I'm living that. Then I walk outside in nature. So then I'm connecting in to who I am, because we came from the earth. We return to the earth. I am the earth. She is me. I am her. I go back to myself. And then I start my day. Now, old me, when I was in force, when I was early on as an entrepreneur, I would have just got up at 5 a.m. and started working.
Yeah.
Because there was fear. Because I forgot that I'm the creator. I forgot that I'm the receiver and the transmitter. So I'm like, how can I best receive and transmit? I have to have a clear vessel. I have to have a clear mind. I have to have a clear body. And then, of course, eating organic, making sure that everything that I put into my body is healthy, taking breaks throughout the day, sunlight, water, all of those things. Like, they create the container that allows me to express and create within. So that container, without that, I'm building a house on quicksand. That's my start point.
That's so beautiful, and it's personally a really good reminder for me, because I've got a crazy day planned today. I've been up since 5 in the dark for 2 hours and had my first coaching client, and then jumping on, then did my training, and then jumping on here, and then I've got a course that I'm actually supposed to be at right now, but I wanted to make sure that I had this conversation with you. You know, and I think what you just really made clear then was the importance of actually standing guard at what's important for you to step out and be that receiver and that transmitter, so that you can have the impact that you would be trying to have as the past self, like me this morning, getting up so early, getting straight into it. So what, like, how can people, because you've got a lot of experience and wisdom and knowledge in this realm that makes you just go, this is it. Like, I just wouldn't let things get in the way of that. But what would you say to other people who are just a bit like, well, I could do that, but I haven't got time, you know, like all those excuses, because they're not connected to that deeper understanding of that transmission and that receivership.
Yeah, good question. So changing habits is always hard, and you're right. I've cultivated discipline for, over a decade. So I sometimes forget that. What I would say is start going, what would my ideal day look like if time was not an issue? And then taking that into a small chunk and just taking the morning and finding just one day during the week where you can implement that. And start with getting one day of it, one day of your perfect morning. And then the next week, try for 2 days. And the next week, try for 3. So what we're doing is we're allowing it to be safe for us to move outside of our familiar zone of not having discipline, or not having, because the unconscious mind is not going to want us to change, because it's familiar with maybe being busy, or maybe being restricted by this idea of time, or being driven by scarcity. Oh, I don't have time, I've got to work up, I need to get to work, blah, 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 blah. Like, the mind's not going to want us to move out of that because it's safe. So if we can go one day at a time and we can have a good positive experience, we're just tricking the mind into letting us actually then let it bleed into the rest of our life. Even one day, week 1, one day, week 2, week 3, 2 days, week 4, 2 days, and just every fortnight increase it by a day. And then within 3 months, your whole life will have changed.
That's so good. And I love that you just put it down to kind of making it small, easily attainable things that you can, feel successful with, instead of going, okay, all right, there's these 10 amazing things that I've taken from what Kate said that she does, and I want to apply it to my life, and I'm going to do it every single day. And then you just fall off the wagon and then you don't come back to it. So beautiful advice. I really appreciate you sharing that. And I also want to ask you, during this time when we can be in isolation, physically not as connected to our external world. I mean, for myself, I've been in this house by myself for over 4 weeks now. So it's a little bit crazy, but, but I've been filling myself up, with conversations like this, but also connecting with myself, which has been a very new thing for me, to be able to be alone for that time and feel connected. So I'd love to hear what your, best strategy for self-connection would be. What is it that you do, or what you'd recommend for people to do, particularly during this time?
That is such a good question. And it's one I have to think about because it's so unconscious for me.
Absolutely.
Is every morning spending literally 3 to 5 minutes reflecting on just sending myself compassion, gratitude, and love for all the things that I'm currently experiencing. And in a way, like commending myself for walking this path. Just thanking myself a little bit. Like I can never say this name properly, so I'm very apologetic to anyone who's offended by this, but I'm gonna have an attempt to do it. Ho'oponopono, where we do the I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. It's a Hawaiian forgiveness technique. And I think ultimately it means we're forgiving ourselves, and we're saying sorry and thank you to ourselves. Well, in a way, giving compassion and love to myself every single day, every single morning, for walking this path, for showing up, recognizing where I've come from, recognizing what I'm standing for, and just saying thank you. Because I have a tendency, coming from the Zen tradition, which is quite, in a way dogmatic and very disciplined and can be very rigid, that I can be very rigid with other people in terms of my expectations and standards for them. But it's only because I'm rigid on myself. So therefore that projects out. So if I can actually start the day with giving myself kindness beyond the rigidity and the dogma, which is just as important, then it creates balance and I can show up for others that way. So I connect by loving myself, and then I can be that for others.
Oh, that was so beautifully put. Oh my gosh, I absolutely loved that and totally resonated with it, because I, like you, can have very high expectations on myself. And then, of course, everybody outside of us is merely a mirror to the inside. So we're treating them in the way that we are treating ourselves. And sometimes we can be so disconnected from how we're actually operating within, that we can look to how we're treating others, or look to how we're judging others, and go, whoa, hang on a minute. And so I love what you've just shared there. And I can't say that word either, but I know exactly what you mean. I love you, thank you. I'm sorry.
Like the one that starts with H, the one that I cannot say.
Puno. I don't know. Reminds me of hippopotamus or something.
Yeah. I cringe every time I go to say it, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm probably offending so many people right now.
It's so good. So no, but that's beautiful to start with. Love and compassion and gratitude and acknowledgement and commending yourself for the path that you're walking is so beautiful. And I think if every single human being on the face of the planet just spent 3 to 5 minutes doing that every day, how could we be operating in such a different way? And like you said, balance, right?
Yes. I mean, even if we all were visualizing the new earth every morning for 20 minutes, like imagine the collective shift in energy that could bring. It's huge. We actually do have the power to change, but we forget that we're receivers and transmitters. We forget that we're organic reality creating machines, and then we get lost. But if we could just remember and put our attention, then we could take back the power, so to speak. If there was a power struggle at the moment happening, that would be the way to take it back.
And I really love how what you brought to the conversation as well is to not get caught up in the conspiracies and, you know, all the thing. Are we being told the truth? And just accept that, you know, we're getting some of the truth. There's other truths maybe when we're not aware of, but just to accept what is, and then to focus on, you know, what it is that you want to create, how you want to be in alignment and impact, like what you would say, this opportunity to have an impact on creating the new world.
Yes. Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that. Yeah. Tell me a bit about what the new world is in your mind, or what you would visualize.
My idea of the new earth, and it might be very stretched for anybody. My idea of a new earth is one free from projections, where we actually get to see reality and experience reality as it is, as we are. And the flow-on effect of that is a space where there is no war, there is no hate, there is no separation. There is an understanding that we are all individuals, expressions of a source energy, but we all are still the source energy. And so we can come from a place of love and flow and abundance, and just the ability to support and love each other from that place of togetherness, of sameness. We literally could move mountains and shift the world, where there would be no hunger, there would be no poverty. Potentially money wouldn't exist. There'd be another, maybe a light-based currency. There'd be something where instead of tearing each other down, we lifted each other up. Nobody wanted to hurt each other, because they realized if they hurt someone else, they're only hurting themselves, because we all are of that sameness. So however it takes shape visually, I know the foundation for that is the recognition of the sameness and the respect and the love that we will have, because we will remember that we are of one race, of one human family, or one galactic family potentially. I don't know. If aliens came down right now, I would not be surprised. I'd be like, okay, accept that too.
Accept it, yeah. Oh my gosh, that's great. I actually got chills then just hearing you speak into that, because it really resonated with me. And I wanted to ask you a little bit in connection, because this is just my selfishness, my curiosity here, taking us down this path. But plant medicine. What is so I know that's been a big part of your journey, and I haven't personally experienced any plant medicine. I'd be totally open to it. But what is it like giving you a different reality, so that you can see the world from a new perspective and maybe get a deeper insight, like something similar to what you articulated with the new earth? Or what? Tell people who haven't had any experience with that why you would use that plant medicine.
Yes. So firstly, entheogenic medicines are not for everybody. I'm not, I actually think some people that's a bad idea. And I don't like to say good or bad, but in this incarnation, it's not a good choice for some people. Or it is, I don't know. But it's not something I advocate for everyone. The reason it was incredibly powerful for me is that I struggled with addiction. And the root cause of addiction is separation and disconnection. So when we're disconnected from ourselves, we want to fill that disconnection with some of us with specific personality traits, like myself, with addiction. And mine manifested into illicit substances, sex, alcohol, pretty much anything. And for me, the entheogenic medicines allowed me to find connection, because they took me to a place where I remembered that I was the source energy that is the trees. I was the source energy that is the earth. I was the source energy that is in my brothers, my sisters, my human family. I am the stuff that the stars are made of. So it allowed me to go beyond this conditioning of my identity, where I was riddled in disconnection and hate and judgment and loathing and guilt and shame, and find a place of wholeness. And when I touched that place of wholeness, combined with integration work, which is absolutely essential, I was able to shift and turn my life around. It was slow, but over time it worked, because when you have that experience of remembering you are everything, you can never unsee that. So providing you have the correct integration, it is enough to change somebody's life.
Wow. And thank you so much for sharing that. Oh my gosh, I feel like I just want to spend way more than an hour with you and dive into you know, everything that you've experienced and how you have gotten to this place and where you're going. And it's so fascinating to me. And Yeah, and I think so many of us, I love what you said then, that the root cause of all of our addictions is separation, you know, and the solution is to reconnect with the self. And I'm sure, you know, plant medicine is one option for people, particularly I see if there's, like in your terms, you know, having an addiction to illicit substances, to transition that and reconnect. Instead of further disconnection from reality, sounds like a perfect pathway. But you know, like you said, it might not be for everybody, and there's certainly other ways of you know, establishing connection. But yeah, I feel like that's really, really powerful for people to just get an idea about another way of looking at reality. And I wanted to ask you, you know, kind of segues again into this concept of getting clarity, you know, and having clarity to, you know, lift the veil and, you know, lift the smog. And we were just having, with one of the interviews I was having recently, you know, they were saying, well, look at the earth right now. You know, the smog is lifted, you know, you know, Mother Nature is, it's this beautiful, there's a clarity in the earth right now. And my question for you is, what is there a particular question that and you know, that we should all be, or what we could all be asking ourselves right now and answering for ourselves, that would allow us to lift our own veil, you know, to have deeper clarity over that deeper connection with who we are and why we're here and where we're going? Is there something that comes up for you that we could be asking ourselves?
Yeah. Who was I before they told me who I was?
Oh.
And like, we're conditioned to believe that we're part of actually who we are. Yes, we're human, but it's a fragment of actually who we are. We are so much more. And if we can reconnect in with that being, the wholeness of who we are, what would that one do right now? That is where we start.
Wow. I mean, that was just so profound. Like, my eyes are actually welling up because, I mean, to even contemplate that, to just take some time out for all of us today, to just disconnect from everything sensory and just go within and to just contemplate, who was I before they told me who I was? And when connecting to that place, from that connection of wholeness, as you said, you know, what would I do from here? You know, that is so priceless. Oh my gosh, amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
You're so welcome.
Oh, I love that. Right. And another question that I have for you is kind of taking it in from another angle, which is almost kind of, it's this concept of challenge. And I know that you, as the, you know, entrepreneur, business mentor that you are, you know, I'm assuming you've been you're quite a go-getter in your life, and I'm assuming that you deal with quite a lot of, you know, go-getters out there. So maybe a challenge, you know, and I speak for myself personally as well. I kind of like a challenge, like, give me a challenge to do, right? And so it may be something different to this, but some people, you know, need a bit of a challenge. Others their challenge might be to kind of not take on a challenge so much. But what would you say to us, you know, how we could be, you know, either challenging or whatever you feel like that suits you in terms of what comes up for you, to ensure that we are moving in the right direction, moving forward?
So Joseph Campbell says the greatest treasure is found in the darkest caves. So I find whenever I feel challenged, or I would translate that into somatically in my body, energetically triggered or charged, I know that I'm about to find opportunity if I follow it. So I will follow things that are uncomfortable intentionally because I know that's where opportunity lies. If I'm comfortable, it means I'm not growing. If everything is rosy and good and lovey and fluffy and light, I'm not moving forward. So I deliberately, intentionally, perhaps it's sadomasochistic, perhaps it's a Zen Buddhist in me, I don't know. I will find things that are uncomfortable and triggering on purpose. Even my content that I put out is triggering on purpose because there are other people out there that resonate with that. And I want to connect with them because we are what you would call, I think it was Jeff told me the other day, Robert Kiyosaki says that there are wartime leaders and there are peacetime leaders. And so for me, I feel most comfortable in chaos and war. And so I will find that within myself. It doesn't mean I create drama at all. I stay calm. I like to embody the Shaolin monk. Very empty mind, present in the body, take action from a place of choice, not reaction. But challenges and chaos, if we can learn to dance in them, we will quantum leap exponentially quicker than we ever possibly imagined, because that's where all the opportunity lies. We have to go there. We have to. It's the hero's journey. Like, it's, if we avoid it, even if it's, you know, we can trick ourselves into thinking it's our personality. It's not your personality at all. It's that you're comfortable and your ego or your unconscious mind doesn't want you to move out of comfort. So it sells you a story of BS that it's your personality that you don't like discomfort. We'll learn to make friends with it if you actually want to grow, because it's the only way we grow. Challenges, discomfort, chaos, war, whatever you want to call it. Run towards it as quickly as you can and navigate your way through it. That's literally my advice for everybody.
I actually really love that. And it's good because a coach of mine often tells me to stop challenging myself so much, but you've given me kind of a new angle on that. It's the moving toward that which is uncomfortable, which I love it. And I feel like most of us are terrified of uncertainty. You know, we're always searching for comfort and certainty, but at the end of the day, it's a complete fallacy. That's what creates all the chaos in our lives, trying to attain that certainty, because it's non-existent.
Totally non-existent.
Totally non-existent, you know, other than, you know, you being able to create some inner stability and certainty, you know, but you're not going to have it trying to control the external world. That is what creates the cycle. So I really love that you are saying to follow what's uncomfortable. Even, you know, even seek it out. Even seek out, you know, what is challenging for me, what is uncomfortable for me to do. I mean, is this your first Instagram live today?
Yes.
Yeah. Yay. I know. And you know, it's so funny because majority of people, I think probably about 90% of the people I've been interviewing, very first time jumping on Instagram live. And it's been interesting to see how we all kind of deal with that. It was my first time, you know, a month ago now, you know, when I first started these. And just something simple like that, it's interesting to see what comes up for you, you know, as an individual, to watch yourself. Well, like, it's something new, right? I mean, who cares about if it's an Instagram live, right? That's not important in this life. But, you know, to have something new that you've got to do, particularly if there's other people watching, you know, it's a really great check-in point to go, well, like, how do I handle challenge and uncertainty and some stuff that I'm uncomfortable with? I mean, you got on here and I'm like, okay, you've done this before, you know, but it's your first one. You're just comfortable with uncomfortable.
Yeah,
so,
I think you know what it's like to sit on a meditation cushion for 11 hours. Like, I think you get very good at accepting the what is. Like, you're just like, I can't leave, I'll get in trouble. I literally don't have a choice right now. So I think that was really good training for me to follow, because you know, one of the things, and you've also done like silent, like meditation retreats, and so you would have an understanding as well, is that we get to the point where we're in so much physical discomfort, like your knees are hurting, your hips are hurting, your back's hurting, you feel like you're 200 years old, but you can't move. We would get in trouble if we moved, like not during it, but it would be questioned afterwards. So it gets to a point where you're in so much discomfort, you have nowhere to go but to transcend it and to question who is the one experiencing the discomfort. And then when we start to look for the one that's experiencing it, we can't find them anyway. And we realize that discomfort itself is just a projection. It's just an experience.
I love that, because I know you mentioned at the beginning of our conversation that the body and the breath you mentioned is like a doorway. It's a doorway into the connection with ourselves, our spiritual self.
Present moment. The present moment.
Okay, perfect. So, you know, that's a great example of physical discomfort being an opportunity for you to accept and to be in that present moment, and then to get beyond just our physical body and to actually get into contemplation about, you know, just like what you asked us before, who was I before they told me who I was, you know, just that is, you know, that allows us to transcend the physical body, but not in a way of disconnecting, but like you said, I think it's almost like potentially the stage of development in a way. It's like sometimes we have to separate and then to integrate, you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, totally. Like, it's fascinating, isn't it?
I know. I mean, I'm like just geeking out over here, but I love that. And so what I wanted to also ask you is, just off kind of the cuff, like how are you supporting people who are seeking your guidance right now through this time? Are you finding that people are really challenged by it? Are you finding that most people are finding an opportunity? What are you seeing in your line of work, and how are you supporting people?
Most people are seeing an opportunity. I think, you know, anyone that comes into my space, like, is someone who's deeply serious and committed about being an entrepreneur. And if we're honest about it, entrepreneurs are innately opportunists, hence why you've labeled, price tagged everything in your mom's house and took it out to sell to your neighbors. Because we're looking for opportunity everywhere. It's in our wiring. So anyone that comes into our space is generally very serious about being an entrepreneur. So they're seeing the opportunity, but, you know, we serve a lot of people in the conscious and spiritual community. And I guess that's because we both come from backgrounds of deep spiritual and conscious work. So what we're finding is a lot of people don't necessarily have the business knowledge and skills to set up long-term sustainable businesses that will last with the economic shift that's about to happen. So an economic downturn is definitely about to occur. And what we're really supporting people in is understanding the fundamentals, the core principles to help them build a business that will be stable, but also scalable during this time, because we're about to get some of the biggest opportunities ever as entrepreneurs in the coaching consulting space you will see ever for the next 2 years. But if you don't have the fundamentals and the core principles in your business set, it will not last. So that's what we're really supporting people in now.
Boom. And yeah, and I know you've had quite a bit of success, and you know, so you're really, you know, be listening to Kate right now, if you are an entrepreneur. And I'm taking notes. I'm like, oh, I need to learn from you. But this is really, really powerful. And yeah, I think that's a really good point, that probably a lot of people who are coming your direction, they are the kind of people who are, you know, looking for the opportunity. You know, they're not victims, right? They're creators of their life. So that's really empowering. And yeah, so do you have any other kind of sharings or anything that comes up for you that you would love to share with our beautiful audience right now before I dive into some questions, and then people can learn a bit more about how to get in more connection with you and follow more of your stuff?
So just, I really want to anchor in for people, remember that you are the creator of your reality. And if you come into that resonance and you remember, don't expect it to change within 48 hours, because the world of 3D matter that we live in, if you've accelerated and you've come into this different resonance, it's going to take a while to catch up. So don't give up. Keep anchoring in every day, even if it takes 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. You actually are the creator. You're a receiver and a transmitter. So if you keep focusing on what you want to happen, as in it's already happened. So remove it from a want to it's happening, and you focus on that every day, and you allow that to become from a thought to a feeling, then you will be able to create what you want. But it takes discipline and commitment to actually see it through and understand the 3D will take a while to catch up. Don't give up.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. And I know you did mention earlier that one of the meditations that you really use and would probably recommend, I'd say,
Yes.
then, is Dr. Joe Dispenza's
Yes.
the future pacing
Future
one.
self. Yeah, the
Future
future
self.
self. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I highly recommend Dr. Joe Dispenza's work and his meditations. I haven't used the Future Self one, but You Are the Placebo and some other ones have been
he's
really
amazing.
powerful.
I love him so much. I geek out on him all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm booked to go to one of his events in July, but I don't know, that's probably not going to happen. Who knows? Maybe it will. Let's
never
hope
know. Let's all
know.
focus our energy to make it happen.
I love it. Perfect. All right. So I know we had a bunch of comments come through, so I just wanted to quickly run through them, and just to let you know, which I found out the rude and hard way, Instagram Live chucks us off right bang on 60 minutes.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'll be conscious of our time, so we get to say goodbye. But Vanessa says, giving ourselves permission. Yes, absolutely. That was resonating. Coley's yelling out some love to you, Kate, and explore your inner nature is giving some love as well. And Awesome Boat Club, being authentic. Yep, gotta roll with that. And Awesome Boat Club. It's funny on Instagram, you don't see people's names, but anyway, wandering around seeking the meaning of life, or spending our time creating a life of meaning. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Boom.
Let's opt for the latter. I love that.
Yes.
And Sana says, important discussion of two beautiful girls during pandemics. Total routine is disrupted, and how to bring back the same and see opportunity in this pandemic. So I guess how to see opportunity in this pandemic is a good representation of the question.
Well, let's have a look at what the opportunity is. We have a rest. We have time to go and create space for ourselves where we're not in the hustle and bustle and the force and the flow, the force of human existence. So the opportunity is you get to pause. And then what you find in that pause is up to you. Because you get to choose then from that moment what you find there, what you create on the other side. The other side, the opportunity is the pause. Then you get to figure out what you want to do with it.
So beautifully put. Absolutely. And I think that's actually is a great opportunity right now, because we get caught up in so much habitual patterns of life, and now that gets taken away and we're like, hang on a minute, was I on auto drive, or like what was I doing and where was that going? Like,
yes.
Perfect. And Vanessa was really resonating with the receiver and the transmitter. She said she knows this. She's very much into her spiritual work, but she forgets. So that was a good reminder. And Vanessa says, I often give thanks for what I have, but forget to thank myself. Thank you for mentioning this. Oh, so beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. Kurt is saying great stuff, and Vanessa's got goosebumps. Gosh, who was I before they told me who I am? That is so powerful. Powerful contemplation. And an Awesome Boat Club is writing a kid's book right now, exploring the hero's journey, which is really cool. Yeah, amazing. Oh, that's right. It's Damon. It's good to see you, Damon. Sorry, I forget people's tags on Instagram. Cool. All right, so I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes just to really acknowledge you and really thank you so much for the work that you are doing in this world, and starting with yourself. You know, I know this is only our first time meeting. I hope to connect with you a whole lot more, because you've got such a beautiful energy and such a beautiful presence and mindset around where we're going. And I love that you are somebody who takes 100% responsibility for yourself and your own life, you know, and look to make the most of the opportunities that are presented to you, and be the creator of your reality and alert other people to that as well. So thank you so much for being such a beautiful role model. Yeah.
Thank you, beautiful. Thank you for this whole series. How incredible. Like, you're literally changing people's lives, even though you haven't left your house in 4 weeks. It's amazing. How incredible is that? Yeah. Thank you so much. I received that, and like all the love back to you as well.
Yeah, thank you, beautiful. And could you let everybody know, you know, where they could get into contact with you, see more of the work that you're doing and all of that great stuff? Where's best?
Yes. So the best thing to do to probably get more familiar with the work that I do, I collaborate with Jeffrey, who I think that you had on your interview
Jeffrey
him a little while ago. Yes.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
if you go to my bio, you'll be able to download our PDF, which is the Survival Guide, Entrepreneurial Survival Guide, which is going to give you some cool fundamental core tips on how to thrive during this time. And then there'll be a link to join our Facebook community. So come in, feel into it, like get a lot of information. We do free laser coaching every week for our community. We're giving a lot of content, a lot of support, the best that we can. And then if you want to actually look at working with us further, then you can reach out within the community. It's very simple. We like to keep things simple. Things are too complicated. So download the PDF, join the Facebook community, absorb all the information and connect with us in there.
Ah, so beautiful. And I'll be doing the same. I know that the amazing Jeffrey Slater did, from a couple of episodes ago, did share the survival guide. So if you guys didn't catch that, you didn't do that yet, definitely do it now, and definitely join the Facebook group.
Yes.
And thank you again. I have had such a ball getting
Me
to connect
too.
with you. And let's stay in connection and see.
Please.
I'd love to connect again. So. So
Thank
much
you.
love. And Vanessa has said thank you, ladies. And also Damon, thanks, Vanessa. And Kate, great chat. Awesome.
Thank you.
Much
Thanks,
love to everybody who
guys.
can join us. Awesome.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.